We're gonna move along. Dialogue and parentheticals. People like to abuse those parentheticals, and I don't know why. Pretty much everything that people want to put in parentheticals that doesn't belong is action. And it'd make much better action, much prettier action, would take up less space on the page if you just push it up to the action. Here I've put together a fake scene, and this is an example. This is actually a bad example. Interior Moya, pilot's chamber. John and Dargo argue over the protest of pilot. Dargo yelling, "This is not the time!" John pointing to where a watch should be on his arm. "When is the right time? Huh? Do you notice the exclamation mark and the question mark back to back there? Let's see. Pilot, please. Moya and I cannot hear ourselves think. John, think? This should be instinct for you. Parenthetical, to Dargo. Tick tock, tick tock. Dargo, slamming the fist on the console. Fine. Terrible, absolutely terrible. I've actually got it cleaned up right underneath. The interior Moya pilot's chamber. John and Dargo argue over the protest of pilot. Dargo, this is not the time. It's an exclamation mark. We don't need yelling. We pretty much understand he's yelling. They're arguing. There's an exclamation mark. The actor's going to know he's probably supposed to be very loud right there. John points to his bare wrist where his watch should be. Again, this is visual action, and it makes sure that we see it as opposed to the actor just doing it. John, when is the right time? No exclamation marks. Again, we know that they're arguing. These are questions, just put the question marks. Pilot, please. Moya and I cannot hear ourselves think. Think, this should be instinct for you. To Dargo, this is an appropriate use of a parenthetical. Is there multiple people in the scene? He needs to change focus of who he's talking to. That's something we can put in a parenthetical because it's something that happens that the actor will do in the scene that doesn't necessarily need to be its own action. Tick tock, tick tock. Another thing I did here, if you'll notice, this 2 dashes represent somebody getting cut off, as opposed to before I used an ellipses, which is a trailing off. The difference being, I would say, ellipses versus, I would say, double dash, getting cut off by the next person. Dargo slams his fist down on the console. Again, this is action, it should not be in the parenthetical. It's visual, let's show it. Fine.
So I'm confused.
Yes.
You're saying that the dialogue to Dargo is not good?
No. That's an acceptable use.
Oh, okay.
This is the good example. That's an acceptable use. Other acceptable use is if it's not apparent from your dialogue what the tone is supposed to be, it's permissible, but I would just urge you to rewrite your dialogue instead. If something's supposed to be said sarcastically and you can't tell that from the dialogue, rewrite the dialogue as opposed to putting it sarcastically.
But if you've got him talking to one character and then he talks to another character, you put in parentheses, turns to just...
If it's important that we show that he's changing focus, yes, because it didn't put, a way to get around that is if he actually said Dargo's name, it'd be like Dargo, tick tock, tick tock, we would know that he's changed focus without having to put it in the parenthetical. Is that a question?
Yeah. The character that I'm writing kind of has some dialogue and then it turns into sort of a glee type thing. How would I describe that?
It turns into a what type
Like
thing?
a glee, like he starts singing.
Oh, he starts singing?
The words.
Okay. I would probably put that into action, but that would be an acceptable use of parenthetical. If there are certain lines he's supposed to sing.
So I want to put singing.
Yeah, and I've seen that used before too. Sing-song voice can be in a parenthetical, because it just, 2 words, just 1 word hyphenated, sing-song. And we know that that person is saying something like this.
Yeah.
Instead of having to put in a sing-song voice, John says, you know, it's simpler, quicker.
You can put that in the middle of the dialogue.
Yeah, you can break up the middle of the dialogue if you have to. It might be good to give a visual cue.
Would you do continuous after that?
I mean,
It's a continuation of the dialogue.
Oh, if he was gonna,
Like he said, a
I would say, use your best judgment. But offhand, I'm thinking that if he's going to start singing, that that's important enough that when he stops singing, there should be something dramatic. There should be a big break. Find a reason to put in some action, either a big sigh, like he's finally got it off his chest or whatever. But if you just break in and out of song like that, it takes the power away from the song. You know, like in a musical, when the tensions get really high, they break into song. Or in Scott Pilgrim, when the tensions get really high, they break out into fights. There needs to be payoff, and songs in themselves are their own dramatic arc. The reason for him breaking the song, the reason for him stopping, should have a reason either within that song or within the world, and that's something that can be shown visually.
Would that be considered a beat as well? Since
You could put in a beat. You could do it that way.
Thanks.
I have this particularly nasty scene about dialect, and I hope nobody takes offense, but I've seen this in scripts, and I just want to make sure that we don't do this. Hopefully you can see this. Interior Italian restaurant, Dave. Stereotype. A stereotypical Italian Guido has dinner with Vincent. Stereotype. What's up with you today? Vincent, with me? Nah, you don't want to know what's with me. Nobody needs to know what's with me today. Stereotype. Oh, that's some big talk. Gonna have dinner with me with that big talk? I actually see this in scripts, and I understand the desire to make sure that this person is represented the way you see them. I mean, his name is Stereotype. Obviously, he's a stereotype, right? Written in there. This is the character's purpose. So whenever the person would write this, obviously this exaggerated language is what they wanted. But a good actor can take Vincent's dialogue and know, okay, I'm Italian. And they will make that Italian dialogue. The structure of the dialogue is in that vein, as opposed to the structure and the, I guess, bastardization of the English language that you would want to do. And I'm not going to try and read all of this because it is just murder on my tongue. But this is...
What's up with you today? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, there's a better one. Do you want to read?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, read Stereotype's last line there.
Vinny, you insult me! Wait, is that right?
Yeah.
How you gonna sit there, tell me you had to deal with shit since Tuesday and not even have the decency to call me up till today? Oh, that's some pretty bad dialect writing.
Right? And if they had written, Vinny, you insult me, how are you going to sit there and tell me you had to deal with shit since Tuesday and not even have the decency to call me up till today? An actor would know how to say that correctly. I mean, it's why they're there. Don't insult them with this, let alone your reader.